Good evening. It's Thursday, April 21st, 2016. I'm your host, Rebecca Paganini. Welcome to the Local Live. New York primary results are in. Find out who won big in the Empire State. The Mamaroneck School Board announced a new addition to the high school. Stay tuned for the details. Our local high schools ranked among the best in New York and the country. Find out where they ranked coming up. Go Panthers! This week, our Rye Neck girls lacrosse team show us their power. Find out how one local resident is honoring her mother in the fight against Huntington's disease. A brand new eatery in Larchmont and more local stories in the media. We are celebrating Earth Day with an Earth Day lesson by Executive Director We Future Cycle Anna Giordano. Today we will learn to reduce trash in our home and to compost too, so stay tuned.
Tell us what you think. In person, over the phone, online. Watch and hear yourself on TV. You tell us, we air it. This is the Local Live.
New York was in the nation's spotlight this week as voters lined up to cast their ballots. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump came out on top, leading the two frontrunners closer to facing each other in the 2016 general election. Trump was declared the winner on the Republican side within minutes of the 9 p.m. poll closing, while Clinton was declared winner about 45 minutes later. Sanders supporters raised concerns about faulty opening times and missing voter names at Brooklyn polling stations, prompting the New York City mayor and comptroller to call for an investigation into the city's Board of Elections. Next up in the race is Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island, where candidates will continue their campaigns in preparation for primary day on April 26th. At this week's Mamaroneck Board of Education meeting, the superintendent and board approved the appointment of Jenny Rodriguez as new assistant principal at Mamaroneck High School. Starting July 1st, 2016, she will replace Dr. Michael Mercanti Anthony, who last month was named the interim assistant director of special education for the district. Superintendent of Mamaroneck Schools Dr. Schaap said, quote, "We are thrilled to welcome Ms. Rodriguez to the Mamaroneck Schools family," end quote. She spent the last 7 years as the instructional leader and assistant principal at Washington Heights Expeditionary Learning School in New York City. Rye Neck and Mamaroneck High Schools were ranked among the best in New York and in the country by U.S. News and World Report's annual ranking of Best American High Schools. Rye Neck ranked in at number 31 in New York State and 174th in the country, while Mamaroneck came in 47th in the state and 394th in the country. U.S. News and World Report enlisted the help of Social Science Research Films, RTI International, to compile its rankings. They measured schools using 4 key metrics: math, reading proficiency for all students, testing proficiency for disadvantaged students, graduation rates, and college readiness. Now here's Mike Witch to brief us on the stories trending this week in our local media.
Earlier this month, Lorraine Walsh was sworn in as the new mayor of Larchmont, succeeding Ann McAndrews. During a Q&A with the Journal News, Walsh spoke about what she wants to accomplish as mayor and gave some fun facts about herself. To read the full Q&A, go to lohud.com. At the Larchmont Mamaroneck Grow It Green Expo, there was a new environmentally friendly appliance introduced, a rain barrel, to be used for watering lawns, gardens, and plants. It uses water captured from rooftops. Mamaroneck Town Supervisor Nancy Seligson says, quote, "The use of rain barrels will help residents conserve water and prevent water pollution in Long Island Sound." The rain barrel program is available to town residents as well as non-residents. To get more information, go to theloopnewyork.com. After a 13-month wait, Mooyah Burgers and Fries has opened on Palmer Avenue in Larchmont. Owner Anthony Griffo is confident that this new location will have the village raving. The burger spot is now open for business, and they can't wait for you to stop in. For full details on this new restaurant, visit theloopnewyork.com. SUNY Purchase was on lockdown for more than 2 hours on a recent Sunday night after students reported a man with a gun at a barbecue on campus. Students at the Westchester County School were told to stay inside, and the campus was declared safe at 11:30 p.m. No shots were fired. The unidentified man allegedly fled the campus. Classes have resumed as normal. To read more about it, go to nydailynews.com. And finally, 2 powerful earthquakes struck in different parts of the world last Saturday, April 16th. In the early hours of the morning, a magnitude 7.0 quake hit Kumamoto on the island of Kyushu in southwestern Japan, where 42 people died and more than 1,000 were injured. On the same day, but across the Pacific Ocean, a 7.8 earthquake struck the coastal region of Ecuador, reportedly killing 350 people and injuring 2,500. The government stated it was that country's most devastating earthquake in 40 years. For the latest updates on these natural disasters, go to CNN.com. Well, those were a few of the news stories that caught our eye this week in the media. Thanks to research reporter Avril Santange, I'm Mike Witch.
We have our local trivia question up next, and don't go anywhere because after that, we'll have our live roundtable discussion. We will be having an Earth Day lesson, so stick around.
Good evening and welcome to the roundtable segment of the Local Live. I'm Mike Witch, and with me is the lovely Maura Carlin. It's time for our lively talk, and today we're talking about Earth Day, which began in 1970 as a day to celebrate the planet and encourage more people to be more environmentally friendly.
At the Local Live, we thought, what better way to celebrate our planet than by getting a first-hand Earth Day lesson by tonight's guest, Anna Giordano.
Anna is the executive director of We Future Cycle. It's a nonprofit organization bringing sustainability programs to reduce waste in our schools. So our goal tonight is transferring what our kids learn in our schools into our homes.
That's right, Mike. And tonight, Anna is teaching us how to reduce our garbage and how to compost at our homes. So if you have any questions, remember you can call, email, or tweet. We'll try to get you an answer right away. The contact information is right there on your screen.
Anna, thank you for coming over this evening, and you've just decorated our set with all kinds of trash.
I thought I'd bring you some gifts.
Thank you. You are most widely known for the programs that are in our schools. Can you just give us a quick indication of what it is that the kids are learning in the schools?
Yes. I went to the school of my kids for a function, and I realized that kids generate a huge amount of garbage in schools because they're just, without sorting, just dumping it into the garbage.
And by the way, as you're talking, we have some video of the kids in the schools, so we'll show that as you explain.
So I realized most of the materials that the kids are dumping into the garbage are actually fully recyclable, just like the materials that I brought for you today. And all they needed to do is sort it out to make it recyclable. So if you look at the pile that I brought you here.
Well, having the kids sort out this garbage is a lesson in itself.
Right.
Because everything used to just go into one trash can. And then within the last several years, we've been putting it into plastic and metal and paper and glass.
That's it.
Well, glass goes into commingled, yeah. And that's about the extent of the recycling. So this is a lot more involved as they sort.
It is a little bit more involved, but it also brings home because most people consider recyclable really only their newspaper and the bottle and the can.
Yeah.
And it has evolved quite a bit from that most packaging materials nowadays is fully recyclable. But people do not make the jump to that this material here is just as much plastic as this, and
Whether
it's
or
fully
not it has the
recyclable.
little triangle with the arrow.
Most of these have the little triangle.
And if it doesn't?
It does have, most of them have them, and if it doesn't, it's still mixed plastic, and it goes into the PET 7 category. But when you look at the materials that people have at home, most of them sort into either plastic, glass, and metal,
Which goes into the commingled box.
or paper. And then if you look at what's left over, most of that is food, and then there's a little bit of soft plastic left over that is not recyclable, things like that.
So these are containers that, like, snacks come in?
Yes. Those are the single-serve containers that are overrunning our children.
Yeah.
And those are really the materials that are not recyclable.
So something like a bag of chips here?
It's not recyclable. It is
Not
metallized polypropylene, which is PET 5. It is really a problem to sort it out. You can do clear plastic like this, or clear plastic like this. You can recycle that as part of the plastic bag recycling at the grocery stores.
Well, those are some of the things I see hanging on trees and shrubs these days.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
It's
And that's
a
been
huge
banned in the
problem.
village of Mamaroneck, but not, I don't think, Larchmont.
No, Village
Yes?
of Larchmont, yes.
They do ban it.
Rye has banned it.
Okay.
It's not, they haven't banned, unfortunately, the plastic bags flying into our air, but they banned the use of plastic bags in grocery stores, and it's really the needed fact. New York City is working on putting a fee on plastic bags. Westchester County has been working on deciding as to either ban the bag or put a fee in place for the bag, because it is really the unbridled usage of these things what's the problem. There are much, much better solutions to plastic
Yes,
bags.
that bag, for instance, comes from Stop and Shop, our local grocery store, and I think it's 99 cents.
Right.
And it lasts a long, long time.
Much, much better than this kind of stuff.
Yeah. What about things like, well, here, it's a wire hanger from a dry cleaner.
Yes, those kind of wire hangers, the best way is just to return them back to your dry cleaner at that point. You don't want to put that in your commingled bin, even though it's metal and it's fully recyclable. The way it is shaped, it really clogs up the machines, and they don't want to have that at the material
And there's
recovery
no health
facility.
concern about having been in someone's home with someone's clothes on it and you bring it back to the dry cleaner and,
No.
okay, they can reuse them.
Yes, they can definitely
And the
reuse them.
plastic hangers, are they
plastic hangers-
recyclable?
It's the same problem. This is a mixed plastic, which is usually a PET 7. It probably does not have a plastic sign on it. However, it makes it hard at the material recovery facility to sort it. That's the main limitation as to taking these kind of non-conform sized pieces, because the way they sort recyclables is by a conveyor belt system and optical scanners. And these things really don't lend themselves to be sorted via optical scanners.
So what should we do?
I would return them to the dry cleaner, and I would see if they
Even the
want the
plastic
plastic one too, because they might like that too.
The recycling center you're talking about is in Yonkers, I
Yonkers,
believe?
yes.
And I think we also have some footage of that we might show while you're talking about that. And, you know, recycling, well, it not only saves the planet from looking like a trash barrel, but it also is money, isn't it? It's money in the pocket.
Huge amounts of money.
And it costs money to take this trash away.
Absolutely. It is one of the most unknown factors. People do not think about what trash costs. We all don't look past the can that we roll out on Monday. But there's huge amounts of cost that is attached to garbage. Your garbage can is being picked up by the garbage truck, driven usually by one driver and 2 pickups. Then it goes to the local transfer station. It is being put on big trucks, and it's being trucked up to the incinerator in Peekskill where it's burnt. There's a cost to it. Of course, there's the cost of the guy who drives the truck and the fuel and the maintenance and all that. But the mere fact of tipping the garbage on the tipping floor at the incinerator cost the taxpayer just under $80 per ton.
And how much do we spend per day, roughly?
Well, Westchester County generates 2,500 tons of garbage per day. So that's $200,000 a day of taxpayer money that goes to the incinerator that we're burning into our air. And if you look at the garbage composition of Westchester County, 45% of that is food that could be composted. 33% of that is paper that we could be sorting out and then using it for paper recycling, selling it back to industry. 12% of that is plastic, glass, and metal. And 16% is plastic, glass, and metal. And just plastic, if you look at the omnipresence of plastic in all shapes and colors, that is so valuable. Plastic is a commodity, so it's sorted out by what grade it is. The little triangle with a number tells you what kind of plastic it is. And the optical scanners are really, really precise. They can pick out all the PET ones, for example.
So does it matter to us as consumers who have something plastic? Do we need to look at those numbers at the bottom?
No, that's why the material recovery facility is so fabulous. You really only have to put all your hard plastic, all your metal, including aluminum foil, all your cat food cans, all of that stuff.
Aluminum foil is considered a metal?
Yes, it's aluminum. Just squeezed very, very thin. All your cans, all of these things will go together in your commingled. And all your paper products, by the way, big news, Westchester County is about to turn the switch and include milk cartons into commingled. They're in the process of doing construction right now, and the commissioner thinks that by May of 2016, we're able to include this into our commingled.
And
that's
prior,
1%.
Prior to this, the problem was that it's a waxed coating on that paper?
No, it's actually one of those misnomers. It is not wax. It's a paper product with a polyethylene lining in it. And so it's not waxed. At some point it was waxed. Just like this is a misnomer that people call this tin foil. It's not tin, but it is carried over as a name. It's aluminum foil.
Yes.
How well do things have to be washed out? Because I assume at school the kids are just putting their containers into bins, but they're not washing them.
No, they're not. They're supposed to be empty, and clearly the material recovery facility would love to have them washed out. But the material itself is useful enough to be, even if it has some food left over. The kids are not they're only emptying it. And if we have a yogurt cup or something, we'll scoop it out a little bit, but that is it.
So when the kids are, your curriculum is across all grades? It's appropriate for all grades? Or
Yes.
adaptable to all grades?
Absolutely. We start at an elementary school because they're so excited about it.
Yes.
And they're excited. We go through the classrooms, we teach them about it, the why and the how, and make them excited about it. And they are our helpers at the station. And the process for them is to sort out. Instead of going to one garbage can and just dumping it, we ask them to come with their tray and then empty all leftover liquids into the bucket, then sorting the material that liquid came in, and it's either this, or it's this, or it's a
soda
bottle,
can,
or something like that. The
yes.
elementary school kids do not have soda cans. Middle school has cans, but no soda. There's no more soda allowed in the schools unless they have vending machines.
So how many different sorting bins are there?
There is the milk bucket where they empty their liquids. At this point, we're still separating milk cartons from commingled, but that will be going together the very second they will go together. Then they put any soft plastic items in trash, and at that point they only have food left over on their tray, which will be put into compost, and then they stack their trays.
And do you need an adult to supervise each bin?
It needs to be supervised. What we do is we get the kids excited to do this. We teach them properly, and then we have our kid helpers. And we have kindergarten kid helpers that are doing eating their lunch really quickly, and then they're standing behind the station helping. And that is the most adorable thing to see, to have this little guy standing there telling everybody, you have to recycle because we want to save the earth.
What happens if a piece of metal gets put in a paper recycling bin? I'm thinking about home use because I've seen it.
Right. There's a certain amount of contamination that is fine because there's a sorting process that takes place at the material recovery facility. So it's no big deal.
I think we have an email question.
We do have an email. How do we change behavior at home?
Well, changing behavior really is a learned process, and the best part is to have it through the children. That's why being in the schools is what makes such a difference. I hear it all the time that parents tell me that their second grader comes home, they just learned about saving the earth, they are separating, they know that plastic goes and commingled. And when they see mom at home putting the yogurt container in the garbage, they'll pipe up. And I see it all the time. And so what we do in order to keep in the school the energy up is we introduce it with the basic program, which is the lunchroom part. Then we go into the classrooms, because at snack time, the kids are also bringing food that is recyclable, and it's packaged. And so we teach them to transfer lunch also to snack. And as we are talking about snack, we'll talk about how things are packaged and how you carry things, and that then transfers to mom, because the kids start to ask, please mom, can you not send it in a plastic bag? Can you bring it, send me with a reusable container? Or mommy, I just learned that juice pouches really have a lot of sugar and I shouldn't be having so much sugar. Can you give me a water bottle? And those are the things that we see. So little by little, we see water bottles popping up on the tables that are not this, but rather this.
Are there any strategies for working with households that don't have kids in the school and aren't getting that excitement and that youthful dedication to recycling?
It's harder to get to those households. So each municipality usually sends out a flyer about what to recycle and how to recycle. Municipalities have caught on to the fact that trash costs money, whereas recycling makes money, generates huge amounts of money. Just the 12% of plastic that Westchester County is putting in the garbage instead of sorting out could be sold for $240,000
Which is actually a swing of almost $500,000, given that you don't have the cost.
Exactly.
We actually have a tweet, excuse me, an email, and I'm going to add something to it, which is it expensive to compost? And many people think of compost as sort of adding worms and all kinds of other bugs to your backyard or your little plot of land. So if you could address that also.
Oh, absolutely. So composting is really 45% of household waste is organic. It's really the amount of food and food leftover that we throw away.
This
45%.
Is coffee grinds,
tea,
eggshells, tea bags.
Yeah, the
like
bread
that.
we didn't eat, the leftover food we didn't eat. There
The
is
half-eaten
lots
sandwich.
Absolutely.
The little bit of cereal that's left in the bowl.
So that's
I could go on.
45.
Apparently.
45% of our garbage is organic, and it's very heavy. The 45 is by weight because it contains a lot of water, that food. So right now we're putting it in the garbage can and we're trucking it to Peekskill to burn our banana peel. It makes no sense. But there are ways that you can take care of organics in your home without a problem. There are all kinds of commercial composters available that keeps things contained, so you don't have to worry about rats or raccoons or all of these.
And we have some pictures of them up on the screen there.
Do you have to do anything other than put your stuff in it?
You have to mix it. That's the point. Composting is not just a question of putting your food and then hoping it'll go. It's something where you mix leaves and wood chips together with your food at a particular ratio. It's usually 3-to-1, 4-to-1. So you mix it together and then you tumble it. The commercial composters that are available, they offer this tumbling opportunity, because usually you have to kind of turn it in order to introduce air, because the microbes that are doing the decomposition for us are aerobic microbes, and we want to have oxygen in the system.
And do you have to empty
You
the
don't.
bins?
It'll take a while before you empty that, because you'll have an incredible volume reduction by the water out of the material. So if you look, for example, at an apple might weigh half a pound, but by the time it sits in the composter for, I don't know, 2 or 3 days, it'll be so dried out that you'll have a volume reduction of 75%.
What about the folks that live in apartments?
There are tiny little composters that you can do. You can also have a vermiculture, so you can have a little worm bin for your food scraps.
And you're talking about inside the apartment. But
Absolutely, it's a little
I
tough.
imagine the other strategy would be to get the apartment owner, to get the residents of the co-op, let's say, involved in a building-wide composting program.
That would be really wonderful because most co-ops or businesses usually have to pay for their garbage. And if you can take 45% of the volume out of it, plus you take all the other materials and put it in recycling, you're only looking at 2 to 5% of actual residual garbage that you are then paying for. There's a huge cost reduction if you can get it done.
Then you have to persuade your landscaper to use your compost material around the shrubbery and
Right,
the
it is-
lawn instead of something chemical.
Right. It is not that difficult to do, and it takes quite a while for it. I mean, for a household composter to fill up, and you can use it anywhere. It's really not a problem.
The some of the I wanted to mention the website you have because it's a treasure trove of information for people that want to know what's going on with the school program. Can you mention that?
Yes, we have a website. It's called wefuturecycle.com. And it's actually a blog where we write about the different projects that we're doing. And we have an opportunity to show the kids in action. And that is just the part that we love so much, is to show how the kids engage. In every school, there are fantastic green kids that somehow are grabbed by this concept. They learn about it, but they feel they need to step up. So at Jefferson Elementary School, for example, I have this third grader who every day gives up his recess to supervise the station because he feels so strongly about it. And I have that in every school.
Were you involved in the rocket at Homix?
Yes.
And for folks who don't know what that is, it's a big
large,
tank.
Yes. It's a large-scale in-vessel composter, which looks like at a 45-degree angle, stainless steel large tube with an auger inside of it. And so the process is that at the beginning, you fill food waste and you fill the right ratio of wood chips and leaves into it, and then you close it, and the auger inside moves very slowly to move the material through the machine, and that gives you the time span that it needs for the bacteria to actually break the material down. And what comes out of it is usable compost. It still has to mature.
We actually have another email about how much schools have reduced their garbage after your program, and is there an economic impact for the schools in the school district?
Yes. Schools, the schools that are participating in this program have reduced their garbage by a whopping 98%. That's like unheard numbers, 98%.
And this is what you're talking about are the bags of trash that you might see stacked up somewhere that is then hauled away.
Yes.
So schools are reducing by 98%.
98%. So we have schools that we always do audits because numbers talk here. So before recycling, I weigh and count everything that comes out of the lunchroom under the eyes of the head custodian, who looks at me with big eyes saying, "This ain't gonna work anyway." and usually we come somewhere to 15 to 27 bags, weighing, depending on size of schools, up to 277 pounds out of lunch alone. And then when I set up the station for him and I explain to him this is what's going to happen, and I'll ask him, so how much do you think you have afterwards? I usually get like 50, 80 pounds. And then he feels like he's really like outrageously low. And when I tell him, well, try 5, usually he says, no way. By that time, I sometimes try to bet him and win something, but they don't always go for it. So in some of the schools, especially this school with the 277 pounds, we looked at 3.5 pounds of trash at the end, which is a kitchen-size bag full with only soft plastic. This is it. So while 3.5 pounds compared to 277 pounds sounds very little, one kitchen bag of just this material is quite a bit still. But this is really where the teaching starts, because this is where I then go back later into the classrooms and talk to the kids about, is this healthy? This is not only not healthy, and even the kindergartners know that this is junk food. They will tell me, oh, it's junk food. And when I ask them, well, is it healthy for your body to put junk food in it? No. They all know that. And I say, well, this is also trash. It's packaged as trash. Is it healthy for our earth to make trash? And they all say, no.
Well, if that isn't as good a lesson, I mean, it is a great lesson, but on top of that, going back to the question that was asked, does the school district actually see any income or actual savings when the amount of garbage is reduced that much?
Yes and no. It depends entirely on how the school district works its garbage. And that is where Westchester County is so difficult, where New York City is much easier because it's a huge area that does all the same. But Westchester, depending on what municipality it is, you have 3 different ways of how garbage is being picked up and how garbage is being charged for. So you have the towns that pick up the garbage for the schools, either at a fee or without a fee. And then you have the schools that pay a commercial carter to come and pick them up. And you have the schools that have their own garbage truck and pick that up. So there's cost attached to all of these ways. The schools that are being picked up for free by their municipality.
I think that's our district, isn't it? The Mamaroneck and Larchmont.
Yes.
Yeah.
They kind of, because you cannot show to them a bottom line savings, because they don't pay for garbage anyway, they are a little less like enticable by the concept of saving money. Everybody sees the social and the environmental aspect of it. And that's really what I tell schools is this is all about environmental literacy. And saving money is the bonus, but it's really environmental literacy that we want to teach.
Well, you've taught both of us, and I know our viewers, a lot about sorting and recycling and composting, which is new to us here, I think, in our show anyway. And thank you so much for stopping by, and we hope you come by again.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Anna Giordano is the Executive Director of WeFutureCycle.com. It's a website that you should definitely check out. And we'll be right back with more community stories and the answer to our trivia question. Stay tuned.
This week in sports, the Rhinebeck girls lacrosse team played a back-and-forth game against Valhalla. With the game tied at 11, Panthers defender Allison Ball sped down the field and opened the bag of tricks in this LMC-TV Varsity Sports Play of the Week.
Here comes Rhinebeck speeding down. It's 11-11, and we officially have ourselves a game.
Allison Ball coming with purpose. She put one up top before. She does it again, right over Edlinger. 2 in a row.
Well, we're getting into this speed track on that. That was a much slower shot than she's accustomed to throwing. Bit of a changeup. 12-11. Allison Ball saw that the game was tied, decided that it was only a matter of seconds before she changed it.
Hello, Larchmont and Mamaroneck. Today we'll be discussing a disease that directly affects about 30,000 people and leaves an additional 200,000 wondering about their future health: Huntington's disease. Now, despite the devastating severity of this disease, Gabrielle Hamilton is here today to bring us some hope and tell us a little bit about how we can help in our very own community. So thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So I know you have a very personal connection with Huntington's. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Jackie Hamilton?
Sure. My mother was a loving mother to 2 children. She raised us to be happy. She would, you know, if the Yankees won the baseball game, we could open up the window and scream out in front of the yard, in front of everybody. And, you know, she was very, very warm, very caring, and unfortunately, she became sick with Huntington's at about 42, and then she passed away with Huntington's at 57. And unfortunately, her mother also had it, and her sister had it, and both passed before my mother did, and my uncle has it now. So, and I am at risk for it as well.
Right, and I know you have a picture of
Yes.
your family. Okay, so that's Jackie Hamilton.
Yes. This is Jackie Hamilton, this is her brother Terry, and this is Penny Maldonado.
Your aunt.
Yes, my aunt.
Okay, so it's a genetic disease.
Yes, it is.
And you do have the option to see if the gene is in you or not.
Right.
Right. Okay. Interesting. And you have an upcoming walk,
Yes, I do.
right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So the walk is to benefit North Shore LIJ, which is now known as Norwell, and also Columbia Presbyterian. They both work with Huntington's patients in the New York area. In the metropolitan New York area. They do research on patients. They have a lot of really cutting-edge research programs, protocols that they're doing right now. They also, sometimes patients can't participate in research studies because they can't get to them because they need a babysitter or something like that. So the money will go to help with that kind of stuff also. So that's what the walk is to benefit at both of these sites. And the walk will start at it will start at 9 o'clock for registration. And the actual walking part will start at 10 o'clock and until 1 o'clock. And then we'll have raffles and whatnot throughout after the 10 o'clock walk.
And it's in Nershell, like
It's
Glen
in
Island.
Nershell, like Glen Island, which
And
is
the
beautiful.
raffles, I mean, between you and me, you should be there.
Yeah, it'll be fun. A lot of fun.
And so your walk,
Yes.
It was facilitated by an organization called HD4 International, right?
Yes, Help for HD International, which is actually out of California. And the reason that we chose this organization is just because they were the one when we were looking for someone to help us facilitate the walk, an organization. They were willing to do it. They said that their whole mission statement was to help people raise money for HD. It's an organization, the whole board is family members with HD. Some of them are at risk, some of them are not. And Melissa Biliardi, the founder and CFO, is living right now with her son who has HD, and one son passed away 2 years ago, and her husband's in a nursing home also. So it's very, very devastating what's happened to her family, but they have created an organization of hope, and they've given us a lot of support this year for our New York families, rah-rah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Right.
And do you have any advice for, maybe someone who found out they have the gene or someone in their family, anything that helped you through your difficult time?
Well, I'm a social worker, and I have been with the New York chapter. I was a former president, and I've written a lot on HD. I wrote a book for parents, How to Talk with Your Child About HD, and I've worked now part-time also with Northwell doing work with HD patients in my private practice. So, I have given a lot of thought to how to live with HD, how to live at risk, how to just have hope. And, it's just you be thankful. Every day there is something to be thankful for. Show your thankfulness. It rubs off. You create an energy and then people give it back to you. So that's how, for me, as I interact with folks, I try to make people feel better by the time I leave a room. Not in a phony way.
Right.
But, that helps me in my spirit to deal. I mean, I'm at risk. My mother was 42, I'm 47. I'm not symptomatic. I have to think that feeling like appreciating every day makes me healthier. And happier in my spirit.
An optimistic attitude.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
and every day is definitely a gift.
Right.
Oh, that's such an awesome outlook.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
you
you.
for organizing the walk and everything. Your efforts that's amazing.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much for being here today, guys, and we are looking forward to the walk very much. We'll see you guys on May 1st at 10 a.m. Thank you so much again, and come out and show your support, guys. We'll see you then.
Can't wait,
You're watching The Local Live, the only news show on Larchmont and Mamaroneck on LMC-TV.
Delilah is an adorable spaniel mixed puppy about 10 weeks old and around 10 pounds. She's super sweet, friendly, and social. To adopt Delilah or more dogs just like her, you can go to www.nypetrescue.org. Remember, if you'd like to keep us on the air, support our program by checking out our website at www.lmctv.org. We really appreciate any contribution. And we're always welcoming new interns and volunteers, so please send us your emails to thelocallive@lmctv.org. And join us. We love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Local Live. I'm Rebecca Paganini. See you next week for another episode. Bye-bye.
Oh, hello. Go. Slow. Whoa.
Can the local live give my pet ostrich the power of human speech?
What? No.